It looks like 2022 is gonna be another great year for new Japanese RPGs. While some games are still in flux on whether or not that they're gonna be released this year, in this video I want to take a look at 10 of the upcoming JRPGs on PlayStation 4 and 5 coming up later this year. Now those games that are a bit in flux, titles such as Digimon Survive, Final Fantasy 16, Outside Shot, they hit us in 2022. However, I'm not going to be mentioning those games in this list. I would rather go with games that, at this point, they are confirmed for 2022. You guys know how the world works. Sometimes we get delays, sometimes XYZ happens, and games get pushed back. So just keep that in mind, but without further ado, let's get right into it, and let's start things off with a couple of Square Enix games. Right off the top, Valkyrie is back with Valkyrie Elysium. This is one that there were a lot of rumblings of with some trademarks and whatnot, but now we know that Valkyrie is coming back in the form of an action RPG with Valkyrie Elysium. This game is looking pretty good. While I wouldn't say it's absolutely blow away from a technical standpoint, I really like the art style, and on the official Square Enix page, it notes the new game presents an original story set in a world that teeters on the brink of destruction. You play as a Valkyrie who is entrusted with the fate of this world by the All-Father, the highest among gods and the ruler of all creation. Descending to the land below, you must battle powerful foes and uncover the secrets behind the impending ruin. To take on the many dangers of the world, you'll engage in fast-paced combat, and I have to say that the combat looks flashy, it looks fun, and it's got a pretty epic soundtrack by the looks of it when you do listen to the trailer and watch the trailer, so have high hopes for Valkyrie Elysium. It is scheduled for a release later in 2022. Another Square Enix JRPG that recently got announced, that is the DioField Chronicle, a real-time strategy RPG that a lot of people initially, when we saw this trailer, were thinking, is this Final Fantasy Tactics? No, it's not Final Fantasy Tactics, it's a brand new IP, and the DioField Chronicle does look pretty interesting. It notes an all-new simulation RPG brought to you by Square Enix, combining our skill and experience in crafting great stories with real-time strategic elements. We have created a simulation RPG that may look familiar at glance, but provides something never seen before. The game offers a truly unique experience from both its story and its gameplay. It's a simulation RPG from Square Enix. It notes deep, strategic, real-time battles and realistic diorama-style battle scenes as well. Another game from a visual style, I like the look. The soundtrack on this one also sounds pretty awesome, and that's kind of to be expected with Square Enix JRPGs, but we'll see how this brand new IP in DioField Chronicle turns out when it drops in 2022, and it'll be hitting just about every platform: PS5, PS4, Xbox One, Series X and S. It'll be coming to Nintendo Switch, it'll be coming to PC, so you won't have a shortage of platforms to play the game on. Next up, here's one that was a little bit surprising when it was announced, but hell, I'm all on board, and that is Atlus's Soul Hackers 2. Yes, Soul Hackers is back. 25 years have passed since the release of Devil Summoner Soul Hackers, which amassed a cult following by meshing a distinct science fiction style into the universe of SMT. The game notes, inheriting the essence of the Devil Summoner series and Soul Hackers, the title returns after remaining dormant for a quarter of a century with an elevated, evolved concept chronicling a new tale of humans and technology. The protagonist Ringo, an agent of Aeon, must join forces with the Devil Summoners to stop the world's end. There's a lot of mechanics, and there's going to be a lot of elements that are going to be similar to those of you that have played SMT titles in the past. Deepen your bond with your friends through interactions at the bar or in the hideout, and at times by retracing the past memories of summoners through vision quests. Visually, the game looks really solid. Liking the art style, obviously leaning heavily on more of an anime look, but the game looks great, and hopefully with this release, we won't have to wait another quarter century before Soul Hackers as an IP is utilized. But this is scheduled for a release relatively soon. It'll be coming August 26th, and it'll be on PS5, PS4, Xbox One Series, and PC. Next up, if you guys follow this channel regularly, you know how big of a fan I am of Legend of Heroes, and finally, we're getting work done on the franchise being rounded out over here in the States with the release of The Legend of Heroes Trails from Zero. Obviously, the game from a visual standpoint, given that this game was initially like a PSP game, it's not blow away by any means, but Legend of Heroes has never relied on flashy visuals. No, it relied on excellent world building, a great cast of characters, and a great narrative as well, and expect that tenfold with Trails from Zero. Experience Crossbell in this exciting chapter from the renowned Legend of Heroes series, the site of an ongoing territorial struggle. After 3 years away from his hometown, Lloyd Bannings returns in order to follow his late brother's footsteps and join the Crossbell Police Department. A lot goes on in these games, and if you want to understand the full story, yes, it is quite the investment. There are a lot of games to play. I usually just recommend people to jump into Trails from Cold Steel. I know a lot of people will say, you know, play the games in different different orders, but some of these games have just not been readily accessible to us, so it's going to be nice to finally have Trails from Zero over here in the States, and hopefully it just shows more investment from Legend of Heroes as a franchise over here in the States as well. The game is scheduled for a release on September 27th. Next up, we have Metal Max Xeno Reborn. Metal Max Xeno Reborn is an action JRPG with a real-time battle and vehicle combat elements. Join Talus, a lone hunter, and search for allies in a vengeance-charged war against monsters and robotic enemies. Learn new skills and collect and customize tanks as you journey through a devastated world. Humanity is on the brink of extinction, and the last remaining survivors look to push back against the machines. Half a century ago of war against the mother computer Noah has reduced even Asia's largest metropolis, Tokyo, to rubble. Set in a devastated world called Dystopia, Metal Max Xeno Reborn is a non-linear open-world JRPG with real-time battle and vehicle combat elements. Take control of Talus and search for other survivors in the fight against machines. The fate of the universe is in your hands. Hunt down your enemies with the helping hand from love characters and your beloved battle dog, Pochi. Pochi can also level up and learn new skills and will join up as a fourth member. You've got a wide variety of characters, and scavenging and building is a core element of the game as well. No official release date yet, however, the game is scheduled for a release in 2022. Next up, an iconic JRPG making a comeback, and that is Chrono Cross with the Radical Dreamers Edition. Obviously, Chrono Cross, one of the most revered JRPGs of all time. I know some people love Chrono Trigger and would have liked to see a remaster upgrade of that. For now, you're going to get the Radical Dreamers edition of Chrono Cross, and this comes with a bevy of updates. Soundtrack upgrades, visual upgrades, battle system upgrades. You've got upgrades as far as how to play the game with being able to skip battle encounters, etc., etc. You can switch enemy encounters off, background filter feature, battle enhancement feature, auto battle functions, so on and so forth, and you have the Radical Dreamers text adventure included there as well. Best of all, the game is coming at a great price of $19.99. Like, obviously, this isn't the FF7 remake. It's not a full-on remake from the ground up that's recreating Chrono Cross, but it is one of the best reviewed JRPGs of all time, getting an upgraded release, and at 20 bucks, I think it's going to be a game that newcomers and fans of the series going back to the late 90s are gonna check out. The game actually came out in the year 2000 over here in the States, but I digress. Chrono Cross The Radical Dreamers Edition drops April 7th. Next up, we have Disgaea 6 Complete. Now, Disgaea 6 came out on the Nintendo Switch a little while ago, but now we're getting the release on PlayStation 4 and 5. I don't know why it took a little bit of time for Disgaea 6 to release on PlayStation platforms, since that was usually Disgaea's platform of choice. Nonetheless, Disgaea 6 is finally coming to PlayStation, and it's coming in the form of the Complete Edition. It continues its legacy. Meet Zed, a zombie that has risen above from all except one, a god of destruction. Obviously, you've got a grim yet touching story as noted, with insane tactical combat while introducing gameplay elements never before seen in previous installments. As a result, new and returning players alike can craft a truly memorable and unique journey through the Netherworld. Visually, it is a bump up from other Disgaea titles, however, keep your expectations in line as far as that's concerned. Disgaea has never leaned on visual excellence. Rather, it gives you a game that has a bit of humor, has a bit of charm, has an interesting story, and also has a lot of content that you can be busy with for a very long time. Disgaea 6 Complete drops on June 28th. Next up, we have Granblue Fantasy Relink. This is one that people have been looking forward to for a very, very long time. I want to say this was announced back in like 2017, 2018. It's been a long time coming. It had some work done with Platinum Games, then there were some development issues. Side Games took over, and now it's seemingly finally going to be released in 2022. We've seen a ton of gameplay, we've seen a variety of the cast of characters, and there's quite a lot of them, and visually, right all on board with the visual style of this game. You've got a great, more so watercolor look going on for it. It is just aesthetically beautiful, and again, the gameplay looks solid, and it looks like it's going to have a compelling narrative attached to it as well. From lovingly crafted landscapes to detailed objects, enter a realm where experiencing a world bursting with character takes precedence over photorealism. You'll feel the wind from the deck of an airship, visit quaint towns for the first time, and do battle across sprawling hillsides. There's plenty to discover on this journey. I would expect it to be a pretty lengthy game as well, but if you're a fan of JRPGs, this has to be one of the priority titles that you check out this year, and hopefully, no more delays, no more waiting. It will be out worldwide 2022, PS5, PS4, and PC. Next up, an iconic franchise getting its latest title. The latest Star Ocean game looks to be coming in 2022 as well, with Star Ocean: The Divine Force. Look, I know that Star Ocean is a franchise that not everybody is hot on anymore. Star Ocean, the early titles, people loved them. Star Ocean 1, 2, and 3. Star Ocean 4, The Last Hope, I honestly did have enjoyment out of. I know some people weren't as hot on it. Star Ocean 5 with Integrity and Faithlessness, I don't think anyone really enjoyed that game. I mean, it was an okay game. But we're talking a 5 or 6 out of 10. Star Ocean: The Divine Force, on the other hand, is shaping up to be a pretty solid entry. Developed by Triace, Star Ocean: The Divine Force will transport players to an expansive sci-fi fantasy world to take them on an exhilarating journey with fast-paced action combat, rich exploration, and an original story. With Star Ocean celebrating its 25th anniversary this year, The Divine Force builds on that rich history with new features that are sure to delight for many years to come. You've got super high-speed action battles, no random encounters. Players will seamlessly enter battles with enemies that populate the world. Players can float in the air, dive at enemies, and fly around areas. Richer exploration, climbing towering mountains, venture into dark, vast valleys, and investigate the castles and towns present in the world. Looks like there's going to be a sizable amount of content with different environments, with a lot of variety to explore, and hopefully a gripping narrative ties everything together. Star Ocean: The Divine Force is scheduled for a release on PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, PC, and at this point, it is scheduled for a 2022 release. Hopefully we hear about it more soon, but Square Enix, a lot of titles lined up from them as far as JRPGs that aren't Final Fantasy, because you look at Valkyrie Elysium, DioField Chronicle, Star Ocean: The Divine Force, and if you want to count it, Chrono Cross: The Radical Dreamers Edition, a lot of quality stuff coming from them. But lastly, I do want to note Made in Abyss, a binary star falling into darkness. Yeah, a mouthful of a title, but hell, we've gotten Star Ocean: Integrity and Faithlessness, as I mentioned in the past. Made in Abyss, obviously incredibly popular from a manga and anime standpoint, but now it's getting a 3D action RPG. Made in Abyss, binary star falling into darkness. The player descends into the world of the Abyss and grows through their experience in its depths. The player can relive the experience of the anime in story mode, as well as explore an original story supervised by the series author Akihito Tsukushi. Fans are sure to enjoy the dark fantasy elements that remain true to the unique flavor of the original work. Many characters from Made in Abyss appear as well, and event scenes are fully voiced by the cast from the anime. So if you're a fan of the anime, it might be something worth checking out as well. Let's hope that turns out pretty well. And it is coming from Spike Chunsoft, so all the best there. Nintendo Switch, PS4, and PC. And that's gonna do it for me. Again, we have a bevy of JRPGs dropping this year, and again, maybe 1 or 2 of these titles will get delayed, but I would imagine that more games are gonna be announced and they'll release in 2022. So maybe in the halfway point of the year, we'll see how things turn out and we'll do an updated video on this. But that's gonna do it for me. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.